I replied directly to Marilyn and suggested a couple of things. I think I also posted some in the chat. And I know we have a mixed group here today, and I'm sure everybody would like to sort of throw in their preferences. My son, when I visited him about 2 months ago, had probably about a 10-year-old notebook still running Windows 7. And all right, Dad, what do I need to do to upgrade this? And I said, all right, Father's Day's coming up. I'll do a reverse Father's Day present for you. So I went shopping on Amazon and found him one. He was looking over my shoulder as I was, going through all the features. And there was one on sale that was priced for around $600. And I think I got it for $550, and it had all the bells and whistles, including Windows 11. And I thought it's worthwhile, whether or not you're actually going to go to Amazon and actually buy, probably compared to all the retailers that are out there, they have the most options that are available on their screens that let you sort of drill down whether you want a desktop, a small portable or small CPU, NUC, whatever, or a notebook. So I'm just sitting on Amazon, and I'm just going to say notebook computers. Typically, the first thing that I've said is you should have a budget. Kind of like Stan when you went into the used car dealer and he's going to make you an offer you just can't refuse. In your mind, before you go in there, you're supposed to have in your mind an idea what you're going to pay, what you're willing to pay. But we all have, tendencies to go window shopping and either buy above or below what we're really looking for. But the thing I like the most is that you can either choose based on customer reviews, or if you have a brand you really like in our case, we chose Dell, but you can go in without doing that. And then you can pick your price range. So I think the first thing we can probably all agree to is that under 500 will be a budget notebook. And probably 500 to 700 will be a medium priced notebook with a lot of good features. And then anything above that is going to be a gaming type computer, a high speed computer, large screen computer, or have a lot of bells and whistles. So what I like to do is initially search, let's say in the 600 to 700 range, and then look to see if something is on sale in that range that gets downgraded to the 5 and 6, and then see what's available. And I don't know if I can choose more than one. Let me just try the 600 to 700 first, and then see if I can go back. I think I can choose both. Let's see. No, it definitely went 5 to 6. All right, I'll just start with 5 to 6, and I'm going to tell it to
Stan, try the boxes underneath the choices. You might be able to change the upper level there, below where you are.
Oh, I
right
see.
there.
5 to, yeah, okay, let's do 5 to 7. All right, let's do 7 then. Yep, thank you. I missed it. Okay, we're in that range. And then I'm going to sort by price. Let's go high to low because we can work our way. Well, we'll go low to high. Sometimes you get accessories when you go low to high, but all right. And sometimes you don't always get it in like, here's one that's cheaper than the 490. So it's starting off with a Dell Inspiron. And then it's got Lenovo. It's got an idea, Latitude. Okay, here's a ThinkPad with the A-frame type, features. Okay, just sort of going down, looking at features. This looks like a rugged. So if you are an outdoors person and really need a ruggedized unit. Okay, so we pretty much have our range on here. Now the question is, we could say, I only want Intel, or you could say, well, AMD's come a long way and their chips are worth considering, especially the Ryzen chips. And then you could choose, how many processors do you want? But I think that's kind of after the fact. We know we want a kind of a fast computer, but we're pretty much want to have that based on what are we going to use it for and how big a monitor size we want. So typically, like in my son's case, he already had a 17-inch screen. So I asked him, would you be willing to go down to a smaller screen? Say 15-inch or 14.7, 16, 17, whatever. And he said, well, I don't want smaller than 15, but I would be willing to consider 17 again. So this you can check, and you can go back down again and check again. And check again. So now we're basically looking at 15 to 17 inches, and we're still sorted on low to high. We've got 15.6, 15.6. Okay, it looks like we're pretty much in that range until I work my way up. So, okay, here's a 17 at 500. Interesting. Okay. Now, one thing I did not check is I'm not willing at the moment to take a renewed one. So usually there's a button you can click that says that it's new. Let me just look again. That hasn't come up yet. Let me see if I go all the way down to the bottom. Number of ports, graphics, RAM, I know is very important. Battery life, maybe, maybe not. No, new arrivals, no energy. Here we go. Okay, I only want to consider at the moment new computers. I want it to take out renewed computers. Later on, I might be willing to take a bargain, especially sometimes those that have been refurbished. Really, all that happens is somebody gets it, opens the box, turns around and sends it back. And there are many comments in the reviews that in getting a renewed computer, the box basically, it looked like it was brand new. They couldn't tell any difference. And as Ron has said, there's also a warehouse, Amazon warehouse that you can shop and do the same kind of thing. All right, so now let's get down to what I think is a very important, is both memory and storage. So let me get down, if I haven't already, there we go, RAM size. With Windows 11, and you can feel free to chime in, but would you agree in general that the minimum would be 8 gigabytes that you want with Windows 11?
I would agree that.
Okay. And then we'd probably like to consider 16 if the price stayed pretty much in the same range or just a little bit higher. So let's go back and let's include 16 in that. Okay. Now, how about internal storage? And it should be an SSD and let's see, hard drive size. Okay. So in this group, they're already showing 1 terabyte is available, and then 500 to a terabyte, 300 to 500, and 121 to 320. Now, for a hobbyist or just a casual user, and in my case, I run Linux, I was willing to accept something smaller than 500 gigabytes. But running Windows 11 and keeping most of your data, would you agree that we want to be somewhere between 300 to 1 terabyte, or would you want to rule out anything less than 500? General comments?
I kind of agree with you.
Okay, so let's go for the 1 terabyte initially, but let's let it put in less than that and see what we get in our choices.
Chair, can I add something to that?
Sure.
Yeah, another tactic you can use is to get the lowest one on there, or one that doesn't have any at all, and then put your own in.
And
That way you can get a better deal on that memory or that drive, and you can interchange the components to build whatever
Also-
system you on.
You also need to realize who you're doing this for. Are you doing this for a person who's willing to put in their own drive, or do they want a laptop that's ready to go when they get it?
That's a good point, Bob. And besides my son, about 3 weeks ago, I worked on a friend, similar computer with Windows 7 on it, not quite as old, and only 4 gigabytes of RAM. But it was a Lenovo, it was an older model, and you could flip it over and open up a little port on the back very easily. And then in that port was both the hard drive and the RAM. And it had, in fact, 4 gigabytes sitting in one slot, and the ability to put 4 more in. I said, let's put 2 8s in there instead, and let's get you a solid state drive and see what it'll do. And it's almost like new. But with a new one these days, the vast majority of them, the bottoms are sealed. Not sealed like the Apple computers are, or some Chromebooks, but the only way you can open it up is literally take the whole bottom off. Sometimes you have to take the keyboard off. And in some cases, the initial RAM is actually soldered to the motherboard. So as much as Steve's recommendation is good, unless I saw it in a store, like going to Best Buy first, and turned it over and looked at the bottom to see if I could actually do it, I'd probably want the RAM in there that I wanted to get. Now I could also put a question in for other buyers to answer. That is, can memory be added, or go to YouTube and look at it? But good point. Okay, so let's definitely, only one appears to be solid state drive, but let's go ahead and say solid state drive. And then minimum size. Okay, we said 5 to 9. Okay, at this point, I could choose the speeds I want. I don't think I'd want anything less than 2, and preferably up as high as that. But I think we can just browse what's come up and then take a look at the options based on what we put in. So let's go ahead and take a look, starting at the beginning again. It looks like Dell still has this one. The price is probably at this point, because they're using Ryzen processors. It's a Ryzen 5, and if I remember correctly, AMD's up to 9. And it has 16 gigs of RAM, which is good. It's got a 1 terabyte built-in PCIe solid state drive, webcam, which most of them have, an SD card reader, most of them have. HDMI ports are usually there. Windows 11 Home, we might want to see if Pro is an option, but it's there. It may be a clearance item because there's only 17 in stock. So maybe getting on towards the end of the season and they're getting ready to replace it with a newer model announced at CES or something like that. But that looks like it's in the range of what I want to think about. And maybe coming up for Father's Day sales or 4th of July sales, that might be a good one to consider. Now, can we save? We can save about $25 and look at HP.
Does it have a selection for the bus type?
The bus
Like,
type.
Yeah, like the PCI Express 4 makes a huge difference. It's like 10 times the one before it in terms of speed of the PCI bus.
I don't think so, but let's look and see.
Like all the newest SSD drives and memory and everything else that run off the Express bus
Right.
are increased tremendously.
This one just basically at the moment. Let's see what it says in the details if we're ready to actually do that. Now, usually they would let you compare and go and click and say compare, but let's just see what we've got. Okay. Hard disk size 1 terabyte. Let's see. Okay. So we do have an option for 2 terabytes and an option for 512. So most likely, if just kicking down to 512. Let's see what that does to the price. 528. So if we really weren't going to store an awful lot on the computer, be using OneDrive, or in the cloud, or not putting all of our documents and pictures and everything on the computer, we could save about $50 by cutting back to 512. Let's see what else we can do here. High speed, DDR4.
I thought the 512 was more expensive than the.
That's what it
Yeah,
showed.
it was, yeah.
Oh, it was. I'm reversing it in my own mind. That's interesting. You are right.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you for catching that. Okay.
You also chose the very first one. There were quite a few others to choose
Oh,
from.
yes. I was doing this primarily because Steve had said, can we look and see what's there? So see more product details. Processor RAM. It's using AMD Radeon graphics, which with a Ryzen processor means it's integrated. Chances are the lower priced.
Yeah, it means it's got two.
Intel.
It means it's got two graphics cards actually.
Do you think?
The,
Oh, yeah, it does say co-processor, doesn't it? Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
Right.
mine's got.
But it does say the card description is integrated. So it may be that maybe a single chip and integrated.
Yeah, but it's also got the NVIDIA GPU on there too. It's about the same size as the CPU.
Processor.
Oh yeah, there it is. There's the PCI Express 4. That's the important
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
And it's not going to be I don't know why they would put that rotational speed in when it's a SSD.
Mike, also too, right there at the bottom, you had screen resolution, which may be a factor for some people.
Yep.
One unit has HD level graphics display versus say full HD, which is 1080p.
Yep.
And you have higher resolutions all the way up to at least 4 or 5K. And that's going to affect your price range.
Yep. Let's see if we can go down and look here. Where we were. Speed, hard drive, laptop, connectivity.
Are there any laptops that
Okay,
can
there we
display?
go. If you truly wanted the dedicated, here's where you get your dedicated graphics. And here's your resolution.
Can you actually get 4K resolution on a laptop?
I don't know. Let's see.
I know you can on an Apple. But
I have in the past seen some 5Ks on a laptop, but I haven't seen higher. But eventually you'll have 8K probably.
Well, this one I just checked the 4K, and at least if it's a good selection, we got it. So okay, let's go back.
yeah, but does that mean that the screen actually displays 2160 pixels high? Or does it just mean that it can put out a signal that's got that 4K resolution?
Good question. Let's see, graphics coprocessor. So here's where you're getting your Vega 8. All right, so let's see, where was that dedicated graphics? Oh, now I did click dedicated and then I clicked 4K. So you're only going to get that 4K with dedicated graphics. If I take that off, then you have your choice of integrated, but you're not going to get 4K. Let's go back down again. There we go. Yeah, so that gets you dedicated graphics and doesn't affect the price that much, actually. So let's just say we can get better resolution right off the start and stay in the same price range.
You may find that 4K resolution will cost you in battery life.
You may. Yep. Okay. So where are we now? We're looking at 505 basically 500. Okay, let's see. We're getting some good ratings. A couple of 1 stars. I always like to look at the 1-star ratings just to see why they got the 1 stars. Usually it's dead on arrival for some reason. Okay, so we're looking. Here's 5% off on an HP.
That does not have prime eligible.
Okay, let's go back up and let's do all prime, which means they're not going to send this out to somebody else to fulfill. So we lost the HP, it went away. I like to do that too. I like to make sure it's coming from Amazon and not from Broadway Computers in New York. So now this one's got a touchscreen. Interesting. 10th generation Intel quad core i5, which to me is good. The speed of the processor looks good. I'd like to have more RAM. Let's take a look and see if that's an option once I bring it up and how much more it adds. And it's a 4K, and now, but it's coming with Windows 10. Okay, so this one is an older one, and we're getting it for that price because it's about to be out of stock. But let's just take a look. Hopefully this thing would qualify for a free upgrade to Windows 11. So let's see what we get for that price. HP, and I don't see, no, they're not giving you any options for this particular one. Basically, it's probably an end of lot. 10th generation i5 quad core.
Check the see more options.
See more product details.
Yeah, if you look there as well on that last thing, it said the resolution was 768.
1366.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it's not displaying anywhere near 4K.
Yep, even though
It just means it can send out a 4K signal, but you're sure as heck not going to get that on laptop screen.
Yeah. 8 gigs, so we're not getting 16. 512. So this would be a trade-off if you're trying to save some money. And then you're going to say, all right, I'll upgrade it myself.
Wireless type is outdated too. To be X. Yeah, you want X in there. AX, not AC.
AX is latest. Okay.
Yeah.
It is giving you an average battery life of 7 hours, it says. Okay. So I'd sort of put that on the back burner while I look at other options. And most of the ratings are fairly good. What's this? Just for kicks, let's see what the rating was for one. Yeah, it's an out of the box, dead on arrival kind of thing. Got a refund. So he didn't try. I mean, this is defective out of the box. Don't like it. Didn't like the key layout. After 2 months, the Wi-Fi. So he's got a bad Wi-Fi board. He doesn't like the screen resolution. I don't speak Spanish, but he doesn't like it. Okay, so that's on my back burner, obviously, with so many other options. Okay, let's go back. Let's see, just for kicks, let's see what they're saying. Other options here. This is also 10th generation. This is 16. Still with a 512 SSD. Still with Windows 10. And this is Windows 10. And this is Windows 10. So we're still not in the newer computers that are coming in. Look how low that is for that price.
Mike, offhand, most computers, laptop, desktop, whatever, that are 8th generation or higher generally will upgrade to 11. That doesn't mean that they're all going to, but most of them will.
And I would agree with you. It's just we're at the low end of the range that we chose, and as a result, now this one is Windows 11. Let's see what we're doing here. 15-inch narrow border, okay. Quad core Pentium, 8 gigs of RAM instead of 16, 512 instead of 1 terabyte. And this comes with Windows 11 and it's 509, but it's still saying only 10 left in stock.
For that one, Pentium is down low on the CPU processor power. An i3 or an i5 would be a much better choice for most people.
I agree. So let's go ahead.
Ryzen's are a lot. Yeah, Ryzen's are usually a lot faster for the same price.
Some of them, right. So notice, I find it interesting in the range of what we're doing, even though we saw one, with our current selections, we're not getting any of the AMD processors. But let's go ahead, let's limit ourselves to Core 5s and Core 7s. Oh, we're not even getting 7s now. Okay. So let's just go back up here again. Let's see where we are now. Now we got an Asus, a little larger screen. And we got Windows 11. We've got a Dell to compare with it. And we're getting a Core 5, 16 gigs of RAM, 8 gigs of RAM. So $10 more for 8 gigs more of RAM, looks like it, but it's, again, looks like it's a end of lot kind of machine. Little bit larger display, not by much. All right, well, let's just for kicks, let's look at the Asus. Okay, so for the same price, we could get a 14-inch if we wanted a smaller one. That's interesting. Sometimes having a smaller screen is in a person's favor, depending on where they're going to use it. 1920 by 1200. It says latest processor, doesn't give us the generation, just says the latest. Up to 4.4. 10 cores. Okay, interesting. Intel UHD graphics. And we did ask for discrete. PCIe 3 instead of 4. SSD, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, more details.
The Bluetooth on that is 4.1. You really want to have at least 5 or 5.1.
Okay.
5.2.
Are you seeing this?
It doesn't really matter too much about the Bluetooth though, because you can always take out the card and stick in a better one.
Yeah, but you know, the
not in a laptop.
Isn't going to do
There you
that.
can. I did that with mine. Mine came with like a Bluetooth 4 or something. So that was the first thing I did was rip that out and put in a 5.2.
Did you have to open it up, or was there a?
Yeah, it's got. The trouble is it's got like 14 screws and 4 different types and pain in the butt. But
Steve,
yeah,
the average person isn't going to do that.
That's correct.
Oh, I know.
Steve is right, but most people are not that techie. They're not going to change the card. I am a techie person. I do, like Steve, for more than a decade, replace the Wi-Fi cards internally to get better coverage and performance.
Yeah, I've been building my own computers for decades.
But notebooks and I just don't get along.
I ripped the whole thing apart and rebuild it back together and put in what I want the way I want it.
Well, when you move to Orlando, I'll start using you as my guy. We got a guy in our club whose name begins with Paul, and he's very good at that. He even has all of the desoldering stations where you can take chips out and do all that stuff. And my
Yeah,
little,
one system I had, it didn't have the video card I wanted, so I ripped it out and built my own. So I did actually have the fastest video system on the planet for all of about 2 weeks before they came out with one that matched it.
okay, I'm not gonna look at this because one left in stock. Chances are it's gonna be gone by the time anybody goes to look at it. But all of these notice 15, 1, 9. So we're, to get these low prices, we're getting basically end of stock. Newest Dell, okay, 2021, so it's 2 years old. And it's no feature offers available. All right, so we're working our way up towards 6 now. What are we getting for that? We're getting 4 or 5. Bluetooth Windows 11 Home Black. Okay, let's take a look at this one. $16 gigs, no options on the memory. 4 cores, smart cache, 8 threads. 15.6 display, 1920 by 1080. Intel UHD graphics, shared graphics memory. I don't
Mike-
believe
Mike, I'd
US
like to point out to you that it makes a difference whether you're buying this for yourself or somebody else.
Oh,
If
sure.
somebody else has asked you for help in choosing a computer, they cannot be too computer literate. And so they are very, they'd be put off by having to try to fiddle around with fixing it up to their
sure.
specs.
Sure, absolutely. Well, as I was mentioning, this is for me and for anybody, really, you can do just the basic shopping that we looked at, starting with the price and saying, all right, I want this size screen. I want 16 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM, and I want 500 gigabytes or a terabyte of storage. And then pretty much say, how heavy is it going to be? What's my battery life going to be? And what's my cost? So we've sort of drilled down, limiting our prices, and we're also not really looking at any calendar type sales. I'm surprised the Father's Day sales haven't popped up yet. I'm sure they're going to pop up this coming week. So we'll see those. And Best Buy is going to have them, and anybody else that sells computers is probably going to have them as well. So I'm not saying I'm settling on something, but it's the process that we're going through. And about the only other thing, only 2 left in stock. So again, I don't think I would do that. Now, on a notebook, this isn't for Steve, who'll take his notebook apart. On a notebook, my recommendation is always get the protection plan. Typically on a CPU, a desktop kind of thing where you can open it up and replace cards. And if you're semi-techie or have the resources of a users group, it's not that critical to get a protection plan. But for a notebook, for most people, especially if they're not going to open up the back and try and do stuff, I recommend that they get at least a 2-year plan or a 4-year plan. And it does add, a significant amount if you get the 4-year plan, but then at least you're covered. And if there's a problem, I've actually had Dell come to my house and work on a notebook on my kitchen table 10 years ago, and order parts for it, come back and put the parts in. I've also had Dell send me a return authorization and just say, send it to us, and wipe the hard drive and send it to them. And I didn't get the same computer back. It was a different computer, and it was, it had a whole new hard drive in it. But comments on protection plans for the average person? Anyone? Do you get them? Don't you get them?
It's kind of like insurance. If you're shooting dice. If you have a problem, it's well worth it. If you don't, it's not. And you don't know that, of course, in advance. So if you can afford it, it's a good idea. But it is their big money-making
Yes.
Yeah, it
Item.
depends on how much, it depends on how much the computer costs you.
Yeah,
For $600 to pay 113 for, nah. If you're getting a $2,000 computer or up, then maybe it might be, but
It also
not for $600.
It also depends on how techy the user who's buying it or going to use it, as to whether they can handle hardware problems or not. Steve and I would probably be able to handle the problems, but at the same time too, that's a minority of people. The majority don't know how to deal with this stuff, and they may not have help readily available. So some protection I would agree with. I don't know I'd go with 4-year unless it was a very high-end computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, what's your occupation? Are you retired? Is this going to stay at home or maybe go with you to the library, but pretty much be at home sitting on a desk by a phone or kitchen table or whatever? Or do you travel? Do you see the grandkids all the time? Are you still working? Do you have a consulting job? Might you drop it? The very first week I had my Dell 13-inch, it was in my hands as I was walking to the restroom, and I got distracted and it fell and landed on the bottom corner at an angle, single point down, and it still has a dent in that little corner. So that's a very high G fall, and I was really concerned about the unit, and it wasn't broken. I got lucky. I could very easily have cracked some solder joints or something like that on the inside of the computer. So many of the manufacturer's warranties out of the box don't include damage. And if I had just had the manufacturer's warranty and had a problem, they would have obviously examined and said, oh, we can see that this fell. Unfortunately, you're not covered. So notebook wise, and because we used to travel all the time, I would always get at least the minimum damage policy on it that I could.
Yeah, you can also get military grade laptops. ASUS
Oh, yeah.
makes them.
We saw one of those
Yeah.
when we did our first search.
You can buy a lot of duct tape for $113.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, we can go to the Amazon warehouse, and we can pick up and see what they've got for returns. There's lots of other things you can do. But I think as a tool, just to see what's available. Another one I use is Newegg, newegg.com. And they sell a lot of computers and notebooks, all by mail order.
How do the prices in the States compare with Newegg?
Newegg is in the States, is it not?
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. But if I compare it with in Canada, it's a waste of time. They're so far beyond in the pricing that they're not even worth considering.
Oh, they've already got their Father's Day stuff up. Ryzen 5, 15.6, 549. It says the retail is 859. So that's in our price range, just for kicks. Let's take a quick look at it. Full HD 1920 by 1080, Ryzen 7, 8 core, 8 gigs of RAM. Integrated graphics, so it's Ryzen graphics, 1920 by 1080. And where are the more details? Give me details. Specs. Short battery life, a little bit heavier in weight. 15.6, not a touchscreen like that one was we saw. resolution is good. Does have Windows 11. SSD's 512, and it's a PCIe NVMe. Memory's 8. Says there's
Yeah,
two
it doesn't say
additional
whether it's
slots.
3 or
available.
4 of them.
Question, Steve?
Yeah, it doesn't say whether it's a PCI Express 3 or 4. That
No,
makes
it
a
doesn't.
huge difference.
Last year's model. But that looks to be comparable with Amazon's prices so far, at least here. We did see, let's just see, just for kicks, what are they selling Father's Day?
Well, do they have the same model on Amazon and on Newegg? Compare an apple to an apple and see what they charge for each one.
I'll leave that to you, sir.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to see if they were going to give us any Father's Day notebooks. Yeah. Oh, it's very, very small one. That's actually Android.
That's a tablet.
That's a tablet with a keyboard. Yeah. Interesting. I don't see any specific Father's Day sales on.
Best Buy would be another place you could check.
Yeah, we can do that just for kicks.
Yeah, in Canada, I usually find that the Best Buy prices are actually better than Amazon or Newegg.
Okay, we'll get the price range again. This one just basically gives that. Definitely want new at the moment. Get 11 and Homman Pro. Leave that open. Storage 500 and up. Let's go with both 8 and 16. Features. Interesting. Well, all right. So non-touch screen is a feature. That's interesting. On sale, color, discount, video card. So this would be the dedicated graphics.
No, that's not
Is it?
dedicated. The dedicated is the one that's built onto the. Yeah, those are the in addition to, where it's got 2 GPUs. That's a separate GPU. That's not on the motherboard or on the CPU.
These apparently all 4 of these though are dedicated graphics. So we said we were
Really? They've got an NVIDIA one built into the CPU?
no dedicated. Dedicated graphics card with discrete video memory provides additional resources.
Yeah, okay.
Graphics, blah, blah, blah. If I check these, I'm saying, give me because we had that checked on the previous ones. So this is a clearance on a Dell touchscreen. Ryzen 5, it's an older generation, 8 gigs of memory and SSD. So that's actually, to me, that's, even though they say it's $799, save $200, it's less capable than some of the Dells we saw for a little more price. I don't know if this is the same Vivo book we were looking at, but it's $700. It says it was $900, and it's unavailable to me nearby. I didn't put it in order. Okay. HP touchscreen laptop, Core i5, 8 gigs, just for kicks. Let's look and see what this has got. It's 11, yeah. Okay, specifications. 13th generation Core i5. What are they up to now? Is that the highest? I can ask the question, I guess. 8 gigs. Question is whether we can upgrade it or not. Iris graphics, they consider it entry level. Oh, this is a 14-inch screen. All right. 1920 by 1080. It is a touchscreen, so that's an advantage for some people, especially on a laptop. If it's sitting in your lap and just want to touch the screen to have it do it. That's the upper end SSD, but they don't say what kind. Let's see. So let's say 8. So, and the price was again $549. Well, that's not bad. It's in the mid of the range, slightly smaller screen, probably features I would consider. And I suppose if I wanted an open box, which they say is a new machine, it's just the box is open, might have been a floor demo, something along those lines. So you can get $50, $70 off. Something to think about from Best Buy, but usually the warranty is not as good on an open box. Okay, so for those viewing the recording, there's a process. It's not the be all for everything, and do look at the reviews. And to my mind, you also, when you look at the reviews, you want to find out why are there 1-star or 3-star reviews. Is it because of the design of the computer, or is it because it failed right away, didn't get good service, things along those lines. But you really want the majority of the reviews to be up on the 5-star or 4 stars, 4 or 5 stars to start off with.
That was very valuable.
We have a number of people that are not local, and so I kind of held my comments to the major box stores or the major online stores. But here in Orlando, most of us know that we've got a couple of, mom and pop type shops. Smart Guys Computers, Glenn Cofield, been a member of CFCS and a supporter of CFCS for many years, one of our sponsors. And he used to have several stores. He's down to 1 now, but he does do refurbished computers, and they also build computers from parts that they import and put together. And we've gotten some good deals from them. We've also there's also a place called Refresh Computers that does the same thing. And there's one member of our club that has his own one-man computer store. And he specializes in used Apple computers, but he also has been known to put computers together and sell them.
Well, also too, we didn't touch on it that much until just here at the end, but a lot of people, especially who may have financial difficulties and can't spend a lot of money for a better computer than what they have, is the refresh and renew computers, because those are ones that were sent back. They have gone through inspection by qualified technicians to get them in a working order, and you can save a fair amount of money, but you may not get much of a warranty on them. You have to understand that. They may offer an extended type warranty. Whether it's good or not, I have no idea, but it is an option for a lot of people who are willing to take a little risk to save some money.
Someone just put into the notes the check. Be sure to check your credit cards, because some credit cards will double the warranty. You might have to buy it at certain places, but that's also an excellent suggestion to keep in mind.
Some time ago, I did that and ran into a problem because of all the documentation that they wanted to support the purchase. And I could not give them everything they wanted. And I learned my lesson. And the next time I bought something that I wanted to use my credit card warranty with, you read the several pages of fine print that you can hardly see with your regular glasses. You can actually pre-submit all the documentation, all the scanned documentation for something that you've just bought that you might in the future want to use a credit card warranty for, and it's on file as long as you keep that current credit card. Stephen?
Yeah, I think every computer I have, I believe, has been a refurbish, and really never had a problem. Now, there was that period of time between Windows 10 and Windows 11 when you could get a discount because they still had Windows 10 when they knew. In fact, I think that went on for maybe more than a year, maybe 2 years, where you got a pretty good discount because it still had Windows 10. But I've not had any trouble with the refurbished computers that I purchased, and always got a pretty good saving by doing that.
I would agree. Well, I think we've probably done this subject very thoroughly and appreciate your help on that, Mike.